64 is the mark I got on a module about climate change while I was at university in 2005. And it was in those 10 weeks where my understanding of the scientific evidence for climate change was solidified, and I became convinced the climate of our planet is changing. And although it's changed throughout history, the current change is largely due to human factors, especially the emission of greenhouse gases. My name is Adam Price. I'm the team leader at Hope Church in Harrogate. And I just want to take a few minutes to tell you something of the story of my journey from that place through to where we find ourselves today as a church. You see, although in 2005 I was scientifically convinced, it wasn't until early 2019 where really for me there was a connection between that scientific understanding and my faith. You see, in the in-between years, I would probably have told you that it was much more important for us to be trying to win people for Jesus and build the church than to be concerning ourselves with the topic of caring for creation. But that all changed really on one Monday afternoon. I was sat at theological college listening to Ruth Valerio lecture, and I couldn't really tell you what she said. I know she shared some stories from her own life. I know she opened the scriptures, but somewhere during that hour and a half, something connected for me and linked this scientific conviction with a faith conviction that this is something that we as Christians, as followers of Jesus, need to be taking seriously. And I came home, quite frankly, a changed man. It was an afternoon of revelation for me. And my wife and I, we talked into the night about it as a topic. And as a family, we began to make a few small scale changes to our lives as a result of what I'd heard. Just simple things, the simple things that many people change, our shopping habits, our eating habits. We deliberately tried to enjoy creation more with this fresh understanding of what it was. We also began just to talk then with people in our lives around us, particularly in our church, and found there were several others brimming with an enthusiasm and a passion and a conviction that this was something we should be acting upon in the life of the church. And so the question then came to me as the team leader: what are we going to do to introduce this topic, which we've never even talked about, into the life of the church? And so in late 2020, so that's a full 18 months of this impacting in our personal lives before really coming to the church with it, I preached a message on the environment and justice in a wider series we were doing on Nehemiah actually, and began just to lay out that this is a justice issue that we as followers of Jesus are to care about and to act upon. We recognised, however, this couldn't just be something I preached on once and the world was changed, nor was it something that I could be the primary driver of. And so we collected together a group of people from the church who are passionate about this topic and launched an eco team to really help come up with ideas and drive things forward. And one of the key questions for us is what does a church like us do to really make inroads on this topic? You see, we drew on various resources that are out there from other organisations, but so many of them had sections on buildings or ground or investment. And we're like, well, we don't have any buildings or land, and we've not got any investments as a church. We don't have these things. How do we play our part if that's not the world that we're living, if that's not our context as a church? And we realised that for us, the big challenge is, hey, we have to move hearts and minds to take this topic seriously. And so that's what we have set out to do here at Hope Church in Harrogate. And there are a few things we've realised we need to do. Number one is we need to keep the topic front and centre, people being reminded of it all the time, but without feeling lectured about it. And so one of the major things we've done for that is we have a short slot in our weekly newsletter with a tip about how we can live with a more environmentally conscious attitude, how we can care for creation in our daily lives. The second thing we've done is put together some programs to try and move people forward a step or two from where they currently are. So we run termly midweek group programs here at Hope, and we've done one of those around people who are already passionate and what might they do. And so we've looked at topics like retrofitting and advocacy and how to talk about it with people in a convincing and compelling way. We've run another group which was specifically aimed, to be honest, at the skeptical or the ignorant. We kind of said, hey, if you're kind of interested but not sure this is the group for you, and we started on a much lower level, like the impacts of food and transport and other things. And one of my big wins from the sort of journey we've been on so far was one man who at the beginning of that group said to me, Adam, why should I take this more seriously than all the other things that I'm told are important? Why should I act on this? And if I'm honest, week by week, I wasn't really sure we got through to him. But last summer, I went round to his house to drop something off, and he was in his back garden digging a pond as a result of the things he'd heard in that group, an understanding of the multiplier effect of a pond in your garden in terms of plant life, wildlife, and the effects on the wider environment. And I thought, wow, you never really know what's going on for people until you see something. We've connected with other local groups. We have members of our church now part of Zero Carbon Harrogate, and interacting with other things. We've partnered in with CreationCall in our wider ChristCentral family, and our eco team are at the moment liaising with our different team leaders, trying to work out how do we bring this care for creation into our life as a church as we follow Jesus together. Not so it's top down imposed upon people, but so that understanding the importance of the issue, teams can take responsibility for what it looks like in their world, in their context. We're still very much learning. We as a family still very much learning, and I kind of live by the mantra that every little step we take, every time we make a positive decision in this is better than not having done so. There are many times in life where it's hard and we slip back and it drops off the agenda slightly and we go again, and every time there's a little win, it is a win. And it's that kind of hope-filled perspective that we as followers of Jesus are able to bring to this topic of caring for creation, which I'm convinced is one of the key cultural topics for Christians and followers of Jesus to be speaking into in our day. I hope that fly past of the last few years has been helpful for you, and I am praying for you in your journeys as both individual followers of Jesus and as churches in caring for creation. Thanks for listening.